Lesotho's Electoral Commission has officially declared the Manthabiseng Convention Centre as the official national results publishing centre, whilst the Commission has acknowledged that some discontent surrounding the transparency of the election results. The Commission is confident that it will deliver credible elections. Basotho head to the polls tomorrow.
On this coming Friday, the Kingdom of Lesotho will head to the polls. This venue, the Manthabiseng Convention Centre, has been transformed into National Results Publishing Centre. While IEC is adamant that it's all systems go, there are concerns regarding the voters' roll, but IEC is adamant that all is in order.
We are therefore proud that what we have at hand is an acceptable product to bring about convictional election result publication. As Taylor Swift said, it is not enough to just want change. You have to go and make change happen today by voting.
For some of the new entrants in the game, all they want is to make that change their seniors have been battling with.
I'm 95% there. I'm quite happy that whatever they will be delivering this coming few days will be a true reflection of what Basotho represents.
As the younger nation, we have to make sure that we do what Basotho needs, what our younger generation needs.
Lesotho has a total of 80 constituencies where 2,560 candidates from around 65 political parties will contest. There is, however, one failed election due to the death of one contestant. The first batch of results will trickle in by Saturday afternoon. Rapelang Radebe, SABC News, Lesotho.
Well, let's speak now to our correspondent in Lesotho, Rapelang Radebe, on the eve of those big elections. Rapelang, I suppose everybody is now excited and anticipating a new period in Lesotho's political life?
Absolutely, Ndoro. It is going to be one of the turning point, the era that Lesotho gets to make that mark that can make or break, depending on how they do their decision. But Lesotho does decide as tomorrow, and everybody's looking forward to it.
Is everything set and ready?
I wish I could answer that in one straight sentence. IEC has been mad with complaints that they were insufficiently funded and had to make lots of compromises, lots of sacrifices here and there. But yesterday, when the Director of Elections made a statement, he was adamant that despite those challenges, they still believe that they have a credible product to offer. Lesotho will get credible elections, and he was confident. So we will have to take his word on it. There has been politicians that raised that they were not happy with the polling voters poll. They were still seeing inconsistencies. Some Basotho were saying they had received the SMSs that confirmed that they had changed. Somebody was working in a particular place and wanted to go now and vote in a different place because of life-changing circumstances. But when they get there, they could not find their names in the registers poll. So there had been some of those complaints that had come true, but one would not think they would be so material that they could affect the outcome of the elections.
Are you expecting a good turnout? Are Basotho interested in voting?
We have seen a steady decline in the past two pollings, but one would say, looking at this previous rallies, I think the presence of the new players brought a little bit of a flavor, very young orientated, and these are the young peoples who will be for the first time voting. We hope they sort of ignited that spark that would lead them to the polls. But at the same time, we have seen the big parties, your Democratic Congress, really robustly going out at all costs, even introducing very, what I would call fashionable trends. They've introduced the sort of beauty pageants into trying and attracting the youth into their parties. The others going very big in music and making sure that the road trips, it becomes something that the youth would want to associate with, especially when you come to the urban regions, because a lot of them can be quite unstable. They can promise you that they will vote, and when that day comes, a lot of them simply just get onto their cars, drive off to Bloemfontein for shopping. But we would want to believe that there has been enough messages that try to reach out to them to make sure that that registration is now transformed into a vote that can actually mean something for their parties. So we hope for a reasonable turnout, but there has been a steady decline when it comes to voter apathy.
Have election observers said anything so far, or have they been mum and just making notes?
Yeah, a lot of them have avoided being vocal. Some had released some pre-written text on basic analysis, looking at the climate, the mood before the elections. And I think of all that we have tried to squeeze a word out of them, they maintain that one thing that is in common with these elections is that the mood, there is peace, there is tolerance. It is Basotho, as you know that. But we also know that usually Lesotho problems will always erupt after the elections. The post-elections is what troubles. That has been the trend over the years. So could we say the calm before the storm? We would want to believe that this atmosphere will say, I think people will be tolerant, be mature enough to accept the outcome of the elections, if not, at least follow the right measures, which challenge them in court if needs be. But it's commendable that we have seen the military staying in the barracks. We have seen the police really acting with restraint. If anything, protecting those who want to exercise their vote. So we really, based on that prediction, want to say, I think based on the mood that is prevailing, that is existing, we can anticipate a relatively peaceful, credible, and fair election.
All right, so take us through the day tomorrow, opening time, closing time, and when do we start to see results coming through?
Indeed, 7 o'clock has been proposed as the time that all polling stations will open. We will be interested, I think, as journalists to follow certain polling centers just to see the smoothness of how things are transpiring. We would like to see some of the leaders that are accessible, to see them cast their ballots. Some will be going right into the mountains where some of the leaders are, but we would want to capture as much as possible the mood to have that kind of knowledge such that we have a better feel. According to the Director of Elections, he has anticipated that it's only Saturday afternoon, because some of the polling stations are pretty far and you depend on the helicopters to go and collect the actual ballots. But the anticipation is that late Saturday afternoon, we shall start seeing a trickling of some of those results coming through to the center.
All right, so the 11th Amendment to the Constitution. Parliament failed to pass this piece of legislation. We had a state of emergency declared. We got the Constitutional Court making a decision on that issue not so long ago. Where does this all fit into this election process? Or have they parked all of this and whoever comes in is going to have to pick it up and sort it out after the election?
It's all gone. None of that stands anymore. I think you will go back to our conversation sometime back when I said I foresee a lot of interesting drama falling out. Well, the good thing is it looks like there is mood to try and resuscitate those omnibus bill. But there has also been quarters that said they were rushed, they were hurried, they did not really paint a true picture of what Basotho had said initially with that reforms. There might be a lot of challenges to make sure that what is passed as the omnibus bill is a true reflection of what the desires or the aspirations of Basotho were reflected in that omnibus bill. So I don't see it being as quick as they are promising us, because now, remember, issues like your media law, some parliamentary had been whittled down, watered down, and this will meet stiff challenges when they go back to the committees of people wanting to now look at them thoroughly, not in such a rush because they are reaching some sort of a deadline. But to answer your question simply, yeah, none of those will see the light of day. It is affected even the national elections, because a lot of what people had thought would transpire went out of the window. So that means whatever was in that bill can only really affect the next parliament, which is the 12th parliament, not this upcoming 11th parliament.
And there were some key issues there, things like floor crossing, the role of the Prime Minister, and so the new government is safe, I guess, and old rules still apply. Yeah?
I doubt. Safe to some extent, because, look, a lot of the advantages that they were looking at is because they can now, through the window, throw people that they desired. You know, when we have what we call the PR list, which had been notorious of the political leaders putting people who have not really been favored by their constituencies, but it is more of an executive decisions of how they want. That was not going to be the case. But now it's a safe passage for them to actually exercise that. But I think a more interesting or a more serious one is that we know for sure Lesotho will go through a coalition. Now, the challenge is how long that coalition can hold, because if somebody feels like they have not been given what they wanted, they can easily decide and say, look, I'm crossing floor, I will join people who sort of represents or tries to understand. We have seen how unstable those coalitions are. And I would want to say the next 6 months will be quite crucial and important as to whether who gets to be the government. Can they retain their position in government? At least the safe passage is that we are sure that this parliament will complete its course, because the law that allowed the Prime Minister to unilaterally call for snap elections has been scrapped. So that passage has been closed. That door is no longer available. So whatever they do, it will be the battle between them as the legislators, but it will not affect the masses of seeing a situation where they go to elections 2 to 3 times in one term of a 5-year.
Rapelang, get some rest. I've got a feeling you've got a really long day ahead of you tomorrow.
Can't wait, but very excited also.
Thank you. All right, that's our correspondent in Maseru, Rapelang Radebe, who is going to be capturing all of the events tomorrow as Basotho go out in their numbers, one hopes, in elections tomorrow. And you can watch all of that unfold right here on the channel.